Good morning, I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. And breaking right now on Morning News Now, Ian is now a tropical storm this morning, but not before making landfall as a massive Category 4 hurricane with devastating flooding and destructive winds. This morning, we are getting our first look at the damage the storm left behind, with Ian still slowly making its way up the state. The main impact we are seeing, that destructive storm surge and flooding. In Naples, just south of where Ian made landfall, cars were covered in water, roadways disappearing under feet of water. Ian came ashore yesterday afternoon in southwest Florida near Charlotte County, taking a similar path to Hurricane Charlie in 2004.
All of a sudden, I felt something and then heard like a train coming right through the house.
Gotta do what I gotta do with the reality that I have, which is get the hell out of that house.
Now this morning, as people in South Florida wake up to the damage and flooding, Ian's wrath is far from over, with some 2 million people without power. Let's get right to NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky in Tampa. That's just north of where Ian made landfall. Morgan, good morning to you. We know Tampa avoided that direct hit that we were fearing just a couple days ago. Still, a storm like Ian can cause a lot of destruction. What are you seeing right now? What are you hearing from officials there?
Yeah, Joe, good morning. And the early reports are very encouraging for at least the larger Tampa metropolitan area. Police telling us that aside from scattered trees and power poles that have been knocked down by some of the tropical storm force winds that Tampa experienced overnight, the city's largely been spared. That is good news. That makes Tampa the exception to the rule, unfortunately, though, when it comes to Ian, because as we saw yesterday along the western coast of Florida to the south of us, just an absolutely stunning and heartbreaking scene to see that storm surge and those 140-plus mile-an-hour winds slam into communities, those barrier islands, and then Fort Myers, Naples, Sarasota, a long list of coastal towns that will look far different when the sun comes up today as a result of this devastating Category 4 hurricane that, as of right now, is now churning its way over the state of Florida, dropping an incredible amount of rain closer to Orlando and potentially Jacksonville when the sun comes up today. Guys?
And Morgan, tell me, what just have people there been telling you about the storm and what they're going through?
Well, it depends on where you are. I think for those in Tampa, they thought they'd be suffering a direct hit. A lot of people got out of town ahead of Ian. The mayor was very clear to tell them that if you did evacuate, don't come back yesterday because it was still unsafe to do so. We should be expecting some of those people to return to Tampa today, but it will be a far different story for those communities to the south. If there is any silver lining at all, it is those areas that had mandatory evacuations that took the brunt of Ian's power did have a lot of people comply. I know that on my way here to Tampa late on Monday, it was a steady stream going the opposite direction. So a lot of people did get out ahead of time, ahead of Ian's arrival. And fortunately, they'll be okay. We cannot say the same thing for their homes that they could be returning to, especially on that area to the south of us where Ian made landfall.
You should know we're just hearing President Biden has declared a major disaster for Florida right now, which is not a surprise, but that means more resources will be heading to Florida. Morgan, the weather conditions where you are might be improving, less wind, less rain, but the impact of this storm is going to be felt for a while. I mean, what are some of the biggest concerns now moving forward?
More than 2 million people, Joe, without power in Florida right now. That's a big concern. That number could potentially be going even higher as Ian continues to flood areas around Orlando and make its way to Jacksonville. We know the airport in Jacksonville has been shut down. One of the problems there that's very unique is that Ian could be dropping so much water in that area, and that combined with these still tropical storm force winds could actually push the river that runs through Jacksonville inland, and that could cause significant flooding there. After that, we could see Ian go back into the Atlantic Ocean and then make a second landfall. So this storm far from over, and unfortunately, its toll on Florida we've only gotten a glimpse so far, and it's likely going to be much worse when the sun comes up today.
So many things to watch, and it's not just in Florida now, but beyond. Morgan Chesky, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. And let's check out where Ian is now and where Ian's headed.
Meteorologist Samara Theodore is with us again. again this morning, tracking Ian. Samara, good morning.
Good morning, Joe, Savannah. We are in for another long ride as we head through today. And, you know, as the storm goes through phases, we are going to see those other aspects of the storm really revving up. And now it's all about the flooding. And that's going to be on the eastern part of the state of Florida and into the Carolinas, Georgia as well. So here you can see alerts just lighting up the Florida coastline into Savannah, into Charleston. We have a hurricane watch here. Right now, we're still anticipating that it'll remain a tropical storm as it makes that second landfall. However, we have to be cautious, and if we see any re-energizing there, it could take on that Cat 1 status. Here's a look at the latest radar right now, and we are expecting some extreme flooding, flash flooding as well, out towards areas like Daytona Beach. Right now, they're seeing 69-mile-per-hour winds. It is a very strong storm for one to have crossed through central Florida, remaining that long over land, but still keeping this much power. We're expecting heavy rain to be dumped. So this is the Futurecast, and this helps us see what the radar is going to look like in the coming days. So here we are tonight at 8 p.m. Thursday. Do you live in Jacksonville, down towards Daytona? Still seeing some moderate rain, but the bulk of the rain is now offshore, getting ready to drive into South Carolina. As we push forward in time, we're moving through Friday morning. So Charleston on Friday early in the morning, we expect that the heaviest of the rain to push through South Carolina, out towards Spartanburg, out towards Greenville, into Charlotte, North Carolina by Friday evening, and then up into the mid-Atlantic through the start of your Saturday. Even some showers trying to make their way into areas like New York City early Sunday morning. Here's a look at the flash flood risk right now. We are, this is actually Friday, I'm sorry, so that's farther north, but we do anticipate having that flash flooding occurring tomorrow and Friday along the Georgia-Florida coastline, and we are going to see extensive flooding with this. The storm surge, this is also an issue for the eastern half of Florida. So even though the storm has moved over, while we may not be seeing 8 to 12 to even 18 feet of storm surge, this could certainly cause damage in areas like Jacksonville Beach, out towards Brunswick, into Savannah, where we could see anywhere from 4 to 6 feet of water moving in. And finally, the winds. They're going to be taking center stage as we head through the next couple of days. We've already been seeing power outages down, power lines down, and that'll continue to be the case for those living on the eastern coast of Florida up into St. Augustine. And then once again, look at that, 72 miles per hour possible in areas like Charleston. So we're far from over with this storm. We're getting ready to see the second phase of it as it moves towards the east. Joe?
Unreal to think that we are talking about storm surge and other issues now on the Atlantic coast, on top of everything that happened on the Gulf Coast and then just in central Florida as well.
A powerful storm.
Yeah, just the destruction of the storm in its path. Thank you so much. Now, MSNBC and NBC News anchor Jose Diaz-Balart joins us now from Bradenton, Florida with more. Hey, Jose, good morning. Good to see you. Tell us what the situation's looking like where you are.
Likewise. Savannah and Joe, good morning. The situation now is so different than it was just 4 hours ago here in the Bradenton area. I'm Bradenton, Sarasota, kind of boundary area. Right behind me is the Bay of Sarasota. Behind it, of course, is the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know if you could see, the sun is just about to come up. It's at 22 after they say the sunrise is. It's 9 after now, but you can see there's some kind of twinkling lights, and that's such a good sign. That's that there's electricity, there's power for some of the communities over here. Sarasota, I see over here, the downtown area of Sarasota, looks like there's a lot of power. There are a lot of problems with power right now in the state of Florida. 2.5 million people are without power this morning. This storm was so monstrous. It was so intense. It was so large. It was so filled with water that not only the storm surge, but the rains that were horizontal bands that would pelt you, and you'd feel it like if it were needles hitting your face. It really had a big impact in some areas that we haven't been able to get to right now. Arcadia, for example, is a place that's mostly agricultural, a large Latino community. I'm thinking even of Port Charlotte, all of these places that were much more closely the target of Ian are now we're going to be able to see the devastation and the damage. And it's the wind, it was the water, it was the storm surge, almost like a perfect storm that slammed into Florida, causing so much destruction. And here where we are in Bradenton, the airport, Sarasota-Bradenton Airport, major damage is what they're calling it to part of the airport. The Manatee River here normally has a 6-foot water level. It got to 17 feet.
Wow.
17 feet. The flooding is massive. Its effects are going to be felt. But, you know, there's been such an incredible organization in the state of Florida. And the governor was talking about his communications and cooperation with President Biden and the federal government, FEMA and others. But there are 42,000 line trucks, linemen, ready to go in 30 different areas here in the state of Florida to come in to the areas that have lost power as soon as it's feasible. And it's starting to be feasible because 40 miles an hour is kind of the limit where crews can go out and do their work. First responders as well. Well, that's died down. And so there's some strong winds coming in, but certainly not 42 miles an hour. So officials now are going to be able to come out and power is going to be restored. The organization that was put in place before the storm on a local, state, and federal level is truly extraordinary.
Jose, on top of the damage, on top of the power outages that people are dealing with, we understand officials in Bradenton have also been asking people to reduce their water use as one of the wastewater treatment plants was in danger of overflowing. How much do we know about that? How are people managing to have that on top of all the other issues they've been facing?
You know, Joe, those are the things that happen with this kind of storm approaches. You know, I've been covering, you know, storms and other things for so many years now, but I think back on Hurricane Andrew, the 24th of August of 1992. That was a Category 5 storm that slammed into South Florida. It was much more compact, Joe. It was a fast-moving storm, but when they come in and the water phenomenon floods in so many different avenues and aspects of our infrastructure. What happened here in Bradenton, the fact is that when these systems overflow and are full, you can't use your water. And just yesterday, before the storm struck in Bradenton, we were already having a problem with it. There were no water. There was no water coming out of the faucets. That will be solved quick. What is not going to be solved quick is the incredible level of devastation to the physical structures of places like Arcadia. And look what happened in Naples. I mean, the floodwaters, they were floodwaters just poured through downtown Naples. That recedes, that will have not a permanent damage to that city, but the structural damage remains to be seen, and that's going to take a bit. You know, this bay, and so lovely to be able to see the sunrise here. This bay, yesterday it was, David, can you do a little zoom on that? But this bay yesterday, there were times when it, like the water was being sucked out, and it was dry. And look, you see, look at that. Look at the stars, the twinkling of hope, right? Power being restored in that area. But this bay here was just empty here yesterday. This thing was being sucked out, and it's now coming back slowly. There's a lot to damage, and the sun is just rising, and we'll, of course, be able to see a whole lot more in just minutes.
Yeah, Jose, thank you so much. Thank you for showing us around, explaining all that. Very helpful context, and good to see you are safe. Please stay safe, and like you said, good to see some power in that area. That's about to be a big story emerging from this. Thanks, Jose.
Thank you, Jose. Now let's get to a Floridian who did decide to ride out the storm. Linda Blomquist joins us now from Punta Gorda. That's about 21 miles from where Ian made landfall, south of where we just saw Jose. Linda, good morning to you. I know you're joining us by phone right now because I think you're still dealing with power outages. We're happy you and your family are safe. What is some of the damage you're seeing around where you are?
Good morning. There's some roof damage. We did go outside briefly when the eye went over. Pool cages ripped off houses, shingles off, porta potties tossed around. Some minor flooding in our area. We're not right on the waterfront, so we're very fortunate with that.
Linda, for people who maybe don't live in an area where they experience weather like this, what was it like when Ian hit? Describe what it's like to actually be riding out a hurricane, and tell us how you prepared.
Well, we did put our storm shutters on our home, and our home's a newer home, so I felt safe with that because of the stricter codes of Hurricane Charlie. We had plenty of water and food. We had a closet prepared in case we had to go in. We did not go in because we felt secure. I will say the second half of the storm was definitely much more brutal. The winds seemed much stronger.
You mentioned Hurricane Charlie, which took a frighteningly similar path back in 2004. You experienced that. In your mind, from where you are, how did Ian compare with Charlie?
Well, Charlie was a smaller storm, and it lasted maybe an hour and a half. We did not have shutters then. We just boarded up with wood. And because my children are younger at the time, I think that one was more frightening to me. But this storm, Hurricane Ian seemed like it was never going to end. It really lingered on. We started the effects probably around 1:30 with the outer band, and it continued. We still have some tropical storm winds right now, so it was never-ending storm.
Gosh, that's so scary. Tell us, you mentioned your kids being younger then. Tell us about you and your family right now. What's next in the coming days? What's your plan?
Well, we'll take off the storm shutters and clean up the yard and see if any neighbors need any help with anything. And I'll see when I have to go back to work. I teach school in Sarasota County. Right now, there's no school through the end of the week, but I don't know what's going to come after that based upon some damages that occurred in Sarasota County.
Do you get the impression?
So it's a wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, from what you're hearing from around the area, where do you think you're hearing the worst? Is it south of you? Is it a little north of you? Some of the worst damage with the storm surge and things like that. What are you hearing?
Well, I had friends that had to be evacuated from the Charlotte Harbor area because of storm surge. And I also heard both Inglewood and Northport got hit pretty good from the storm. So it's a matter of wait and see. We don't have, our television isn't working, obviously, because we have no power. So right now, we're not getting a lot of information.
Right, no electricity, and right now things are still in the dark as the sun starts to come up. And as the sun comes up, we will get a better idea of the damage there in Punta Gorda and throughout Florida. Linda Blomquist, thanks so much for joining us. Please continue to stay safe.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Now let's bring in Lakeland, Florida City Manager Sean Giroux for more. Sean, good morning, and thanks so much for being with us today. So the eye of Hurricane Ian moved just outside of Lakeland last night. What kind of damage are you seeing this morning? What's it like as the sun is just starting to rise, as we saw with one of our correspondents there? Are you and your family safe?
Yes, good morning. Thank you. And hello from the beautiful city of Lakeland. We are just starting to have some daylight here. We fared pretty well in Lakeland last night. The biggest impacts here were between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Lakeland owns our own electric utility, and we have about 63,000 customers that are without power. So our major effort this morning is to try to get our crews mobilized so that we can get power restored for our community.
We should note Lakeland is east of Tampa, so not right on the water there, and still this hurricane so powerful that many people lost power. What's your message to people who don't have power right now? Not just how quickly will it happen, but what should they be doing in the meantime when they don't have the power?
Yeah, unfortunately, all we can ask them to do is just remain patient. We are mobilizing with our own restoration crews. We also have crews that are coming in to assist us from Texas and Tennessee. They were staged near the Florida-Georgia line last night and are mobilizing and will be on their way. And so just be patient, be safe, stay away from any of the lines. We have reports and have seen where we do have many lines that are down, so just stay away from them and know that we are mobilizing as quickly as we can to try to get power restored very, very fast.
Absolutely important safety message there. Also, Sean, as Joe just mentioned, Lakeland's a little bit more inland and was able to take in many evacuees from areas of Florida that were directly in the eye of the hurricane or more coastal. What is the plan for those who are unable to return home immediately? Are there enough resources to go around for, the community itself as well as other people who evacuated to the area?
Yeah, our shelters opened at noon yesterday, and many of them are full. As a matter of fact, here where I'm located at our Emergency Operations Center and right here across the street from City Hall, even in our parking garages, we found people that were staying in their vehicles. And so we've tried to accommodate as best we can, and we'll continue to do so throughout today. We expect that, the impacts that we are experiencing, which are primarily throughout the day going to be rainfall, should be safe conditions for everyone. But again, we would ask them that they stay secure in the place that they're in until we get the all clear, to start to utilize our transportation system.
Obviously, power is your #1 priority right now. What else are you focused on today and tomorrow? And are you worried at all about flooding with all of the rain that parts of Florida are getting right now, or is that no longer a big issue for you?
Flooding was a major concern, but so far, again, we have fared well. We've been able to go out and visit some of our low-lying areas, and the reports coming back are pretty good. And so, yeah, restoring power is going to be our primary #1 mission. In addition to that, I mean, we don't have much loss of entire trees, but we do have a lot of large limbs that are down. There's just a lot of debris everywhere. And so our other major mission this morning is going to be to mobilize crews and try to make sure that we get the streets clear so that they can be safe for passage when the conditions are at a point that people can utilize them.
All right, Sean Sharrows, thank you so much for your time this morning on what is sure to be a busy and in some ways scary day for your community. We appreciate your time, and we're wishing you the best of luck. We'll check in.
Thank you very much.
All right, our coverage of Tropical Storm Ian continues in just a few minutes. The powerful storm has been downgraded from a hurricane early this morning, but is still battering parts of Florida. We've got the latest just ahead.
Also ahead, we'll take a look at the White House response and how the federal government is getting ready to help. You're watching Morning News Now.
Welcome back. The White House has approved a disaster declaration for Florida this morning as Ian makes its way through the state.
During a conference yesterday on nutrition and health, President Biden said people should not take the storm lightly.
The storm is incredibly dangerous, to state the obvious. It's life-threatening. You should obey all warnings and directions from emergency officials. Don't take anything for granted. Use their judgment, not yours.
Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Josh Letterman with more on the Biden administration's response to the storm. Josh, good morning to you. So what does this disaster declaration mean for people who are dealing with the devastating storm right now? And should they expect more help is going to be coming in soon?
Yeah, they sure should expect that. We are seeing that the president has now signed this disaster declaration, which will make funding available to individual Floridians who are in a series of counties, including Charlotte, Collier, DeSoto, Hardee, Hillsborough, Lee, Manatee, Pinellas, and Sarasota counties. The White House saying in a statement that that assistance will include temporary housing and house repairs, as well as low-cost loans as people are starting to recover from this hurricane. We know that the president has had a chance to speak just ahead of the hurricane with Governor DeSantis in Florida, and then in the last 24 hours or so with affected mayors in the area, including the mayor of Fort Myers. He left messages for others. President Biden yesterday addressing what the federal government is doing to try to pre-position government resources in and around the area affected so that they can be ready to surge those resources in as needed. Take a listen.
We discussed what we've done to prepare for the hurricane. That includes dispatching hundreds of FEMA personnel and activating thousands of National Guard members. I've also developed a search and rescue team and deployed them to multiple federal agencies. FEMA pre-positioned literally millions of liters of water, millions of meals, and hundreds of generators. We've scheduled everything we can possibly do.
And in just a few hours, we expect President Biden to head to FEMA headquarters here in Washington, where he is going to get an update on the latest situation on the ground there, as well as what both FEMA is doing, as well as the Florida National Guard, other National Guard groups that are in the area. And the president will also then be able to calibrate the federal response to any additional information they're getting from authorities on the ground about what the current needs are there, Joe and Savannah.
Hey, Josh, the president also issued a warning to oil and gas companies, urging them not to raise prices. And that was even before Ian made landfall. What can you tell us about that and the reaction to it?
Yeah, well, President Biden is saying that this storm is no excuse for oil and gas companies to start raising the price that people pay at the pump. He says the federal government is watching closely for any signs of price gouging and then will take action if it does see that. Now, the good news is so far we haven't seen major spikes as a result of this hurricane. And we're also hearing from the American Petroleum Institute, which represents the oil and gas industry here in the U.S. They say this is not something people need to be concerned about. They say the price of gas that people pay is based on supply and demand on market forces and not any individual gas station. And they say they do not expect that those gas companies are going to start hiking prices just because people are dealing with this hurricane, Savannah.
All right, Josh Lederman covering the federal response. Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh. And coming up, we're continuing to follow the track of Tropical Storm Ian.
After the break, we're going to take you back to Tampa, just north of where Ian made landfall as a powerful Category 4 hurricane, for a look at the damage left behind. Stay with us. That's next. Let's bring back meteorologist Samara Theodore for more on Ian's path. Samara, good morning to you.
Good morning. Yeah. So now the tracking of Ian continues as it now leaves central Florida and heads for the East Coast. So here's a look at the timing that we're looking at. Right now, it is going to be a tropical storm as it emerges over the Atlantic. Look where all the rain is by 8 p.m. Thursday. That's later tonight. Most of it is out at sea. However, we are still seeing bands of showers making their way through parts of Jacksonville and down into Daytona. And that is the time in Charleston where you'll start to see, the clouds really moving in, the rain starting to first fall before the heavier rain starts to whip into the Carolinas. This is 7 a.m. on Friday. So between tonight at around 8 p.m. and 7 a.m., we're going to see that rain become steadier. And that will continue to push through parts of North Carolina as well, even down in parts of southern Virginia. And then by about 4 a.m. Saturday morning, so early Saturday morning, late Friday night into Saturday morning, we see the worst of this make its way into the mid-Atlantic, impacting areas like Washington, D.C., the Delmarva Peninsula, up into the Jersey coast there. And as a result, we are seeing multiple alerts being lit up and down the Florida eastern coast and down into areas like Georgia and Charleston. Now, as this emerges as a tropical storm, we expect it or anticipate it to maintain that type of strength at the very least. However, they are keeping on guard for any re-strengthening, and we do have a hurricane watch right now for areas like Savannah, Charleston, and down into Jacksonville. Otherwise, tropical storm warnings as we head through the next couple of hours here. Looking at the radar, the heaviest of the rain is still situated over Daytona Beach. When I checked with you last, it was there. So you know that they're going to get that heavy rain, which will easily lead to flooding. We're still seeing strong winds around that area as well. And that flooding threat then moves tomorrow to where the rain is headed. And that's areas like Charleston and Myrtle Beach. Moderate risk for flash flooding. Flash flooding is extremely dangerous. It happens in a flash, and oftentimes it doesn't take much to move a car. And most of the times it's quick rushing water, so that's not something you want to be outside in. Even though we're seeing the storm weaken, if you live in the Carolinas, keep in mind being out and about late tonight into tomorrow morning can make for dangerous territory with flash flooding. And the extent of the flooding, we're going to see some of the heaviest in Daytona Beach. We just saw on the radar there what's happening, how that rain band is setting up shop and taking its time, not really moving much. As a result, flooding is an issue there. Then we got to talk about the storm surge. If it's not one thing, it's another with this storm. We have the storm surge that's going to be impacting areas like Jacksonville Beach up to Brunswick into Savannah. We can see 4 to 6 feet of storm surge on the back end of this storm as it continues to move through as a tropical storm in this area. Here's a look at some of the strongest winds. Yesterday we saw things really whipping up. The storm made it up to 155 miles per hour. Cape Coral, 140. Areas like Naples, 112. So with the sun coming up, we're going to see the extent of the damage. But you guys, we're not done with this yet.
All right, Samara, we know you'll stay on it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And while Hurricane Ian does make its way through Florida, we're also now getting a clearer look at the impact it had in Cuba. And the focus there isn't just on cleaning up, but on getting electricity back on still and getting food to those who need it.
Yeah, and that is a challenge made even harder as many agricultural fields were also destroyed. NBC News correspondent Guad Venegas has the details.
In Cuba, the scope of Hurricane Ian's wrath is now visible. Towns are unrecognizable, buildings and homes completely flattened. At least 2 people died and thousands are homeless, like this family now traveling on foot looking for somewhere to stay. As people try to find shelter, crews are trying to restore electricity after a national blackout late last night. The electric grid, overwhelmed by damage from the storm, left the entire country in the dark.
The electric company says they're making repairs as fast as they can, but just look at the devastation. Multiple poles torn down one after another as far as the eye can see.
We traveled to one of the hardest hit areas where Zenaida and her family live with 4 children and a newborn. Now they have no water, no electricity, and no home. Their house is buried under this wreckage. For now, their neighbors are taking them in.
Buenos dias.
Maximina lives here. She says the little she had was destroyed, and she's worried it could get even worse.
Her biggest fear is that the structure falls apart now. He says this is about to fall.
Heartbreaking and scary. Our thanks to Gwad for bringing us that story.
Let's take a closer look at some of the destruction Ian has left behind so far across Florida.
Yeah, people up and down Florida's west coast are waking up to scenes of devastation this morning, right now as the sun comes up, as the storm now heads farther inland. NBC News correspondent Chris Pollone joins us from Tampa, which is about 100 miles north of where Ian made landfall. Chris, good morning. First, just tell us, what is the situation like right now, just as it's starting to get light out? What can you see about the destruction?
Yeah, Savannah, the sun has started to come up, literally shedding light on the situation here in the Tampa Bay area. And it is safe to say that people here are breathing a huge sigh of relief. Obviously, this area did eventually get a lot of pounding rain, decent storm gusts from Ian, but the destruction is nothing like we're seeing just 100, 150 miles to our south. What I saw: palm fronds, tree branches, a few stoplights came down, signs are blown over. There was some localized flash flooding. We've heard reports that power lines sparked a couple of house fires in the Tampa area, but no reports of injuries, no reports of fatalities here. We do know that there are about 500,000 customers without power in the entire Tampa Bay area, out of about 2.5 million in the state as a whole. Crews are starting to work on that problem as daylight comes. But, you know, for people, obviously it's inconvenient not to have power, but that is basically the extent of the problem here in the Tampa Bay area.
And Chris, that tells you it didn't get a direct hit there in Tampa, yet still about 500,000 people in that area are without power. Any idea how long it's going to take to restore power to everyone? And what's the message to people who don't have electricity right now?
Sure. Right now, it's just be patient and report, if you haven't reported it already, to your power utility. It looks like in this area, most repairs will be fairly quick because the nature of the damage is not that extensive. Obviously, you go to a place like Fort Myers or Naples where you have entire neighborhoods wiped away. That's going to take some time. Here, it's mostly trees down that brought down isolated lines. That should be a fairly quick repair.
And Chris, as you said, I mean, people are waking up kind of breathing this sigh of relief because thankfully Tampa was spared in some ways, but resources had been dedicated to the area. Will any of those be diverted potentially farther south, maybe to one of those areas that was in the eye to help where Ian did make direct landfall?
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, there were something like, I think by last count, more than 40,000 electrical workers from around the country who had pre-positioned throughout the state. Obviously, more resources will be diverted to the harder hit areas. You know, the local Tampa Power Utility could probably take care of a lot of their own problems here in Hillsborough County. And we'll see now FEMA, as well as electrical workers, other first responders, go to the hardest hit areas, kind of surging towards those areas that need the help the most.
All right, Chris Pollone, thank you so much. Stay safe.
Now to some developing news this morning. At least 3 migrants have been rescued in Boca Chica, Florida, after their boat from Cuba capsized.
But at least 20 more Cuban migrants are missing. The boat went missing yesterday as Ian approached the Florida coastline as a Category 4 storm.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, good morning. So what more can you tell us about what happened here?
So we understand that yesterday, as this storm was moving from Cuba onto the coast of Florida, that there was a boat carrying 23 Cuban migrants that sank just between Cuba and Florida, and that at least 4 of those migrants were able to get to a small island in between the two countries called Stock Island, just off of Florida, south of the Everglades. That's where Border Patrol first encountered them. If it hadn't been for those survivors, they may have never even known about the existence of this sunken vessel. So then Coast Guard launched a search and rescue mission, and we just learned this morning they were able to recover 3 more migrants, but the others still remain missing. They took those 3 migrants into a hospital to get them. They were treated for dehydration and exhaustion. But of course, those who remain missing, their fates are now less and less certain. This is part of migration that we're seeing more and more from Cuba coming across by boat. Though I will say we have seen in recent years more migrants attempting to go by foot up from Nicaragua across the U.S.-Mexico border by land. But boat crossings still happen, and unfortunately, when they happen during conditions like this, the chances of survival sometimes can be slim.
Yeah, Julia, I wanted to ask you sort of bigger picture. I mean, hurricane or not, what is making that trip by boat like? What is the safety, the danger of that? What is it like?
I mean, it's incredibly dangerous, and that's one of the reasons why the Coast Guard is often looking through that area. It's actually one of the reasons why we have Coast Guard stationed in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. I was actually able to go out with them there just a few years ago and see their rescue operations that are really focused on migrants. It's a part of Guantanamo Bay we don't think about, but it's because boat migration is so common and so treacherous in that area, and often people are going that way. And of course, there was the policy, the wet foot, dry foot policy that used to encourage more Cubans to go by boat. Now more are coming up by land because Cuba is not taking them back when they're deported, even if they cross by land. But yes, it's been a common route for a long time to go by boat, and we're seeing more migration from Cuba over these past 2 or 3 years. So yes, it does happen often, and it's treacherous, hurricane or not.
All right, Julia Ainsley. Julia, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Julia. And coming up, our coverage of Tropical Storm Ian continues just ahead as it batters Florida this morning. More than 2 million people are without power. We'll get an update next.
More than 2 million people in Florida are without power, and in some areas, restoration is expected to take days.
Yeah, for more on this, we're joined by Dave Reuter, who is the Chief Communications Officer for Florida Power and Light. Dave, good morning. This is, of course, going to be one of these emerging stories here. Who is without power, and when does it come back? Tell us, where do things stand right now with outages and the crew's ability to start restoring power?
Yes, good morning. Thank you. So we're just starting to get our first look on the damage this morning. We do have crews that have been pre-positioned all over the state. In particular, obviously, we want to take a look at those west counties and the western shoreline, get a sense of the extensive nature of the damage before we can give an assessment of exactly how long it's going to take to restore power for our customers.
At this point, talk about some of the preparations you did. You said you put some crews in places in advance of this. What else are you able to do to prepare for this so you can respond as quickly as possible as the winds and rains move through and your crews are able to start the process of restoring power?
So we have assembled a workforce of about 20,000 restoration workers across the state. Those are pre-positioned in about 37 different locations. Those crews come not only from Florida, but from 30 other states as well. And so our goal always with this is to get our equipment, get our trucks, get our linemen and linewomen in place so that as the storm passes an area, we can get in as soon as it is safe to do so, assess the damage, and then determine exactly how long it'll take to get the power back on.
Yeah, and of course, the answer to that question is different all over the state. But Florida Power and Light actually said that parts of the system will need to be fully replaced before service can then be restored. How long does something like that take? And if a customer's in that area, what can they expect? When will they have service again?
So there certainly is the potential, if we have to rebuild the system, that this will take longer than just a few days. And that's what we're going to find out in the next few days as we go in and are able to assess. Obviously, the biggest challenge for us is receding floodwaters. We can't go into areas that are flooded. We also can't go into areas where there still may be winds above 35 miles an hour. So that's why we pre-position the crews, and as soon as it's safe to do so, we'll send them in, assess the damage. Right now, given the extensive nature of what we saw yesterday, at least in terms of almost a Cat 5 hurricane hitting parts of the West Coast, certainly there's the potential that this could be a rebuild of the system in certain parts of that shoreline, as opposed to just restoring. And so that's what we're going to find out here very shortly.
How long does a rebuild take if that's what's necessary?
Well, depending on exactly, the extent of the damage, instead of what would normally be a matter of days to repair, it could be a week or more. If we have to rebuild the system, instead of just stringing wires between poles, we're talking about possibly replacing poles. If there's significant flood damage to other facilities like substations, we'll have to get in there and determine exactly the nature of the damage and what we'll have to do to repair it.
All right, Dave, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. I know you're busy. We'll be checking in. And now let's take a closer look at how much Ian's destructive trail could cost Florida.
CNBC's Bertha Coombs joins us now with that and other news this morning. Hey, Bertha, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I'll let you know, I have relatives in Cuba, and they say in Havana, at least, the power is back. Lots of trees down, but at least they've got electricity back. So that's a start. Hurricane Ian here could end up being one of the costliest natural disasters in history. Experts are projecting insured property losses of between $20 and $40 billion. That number could be even higher if the storm causes more damage than expected to metro areas or makes a second landfall on the southeastern coast of the U.S. That level of damage is rarely seen. Hurricane Ida caused an estimated $36 billion in insured property losses after striking the New Orleans area last year. Hurricane Katrina caused $86 billion in losses when adjusted for inflation to today's dollars. And we're just talking about insured losses. Some people won't be insured. Meantime, some hotels in Florida dropped their usual rates so people fleeing the hurricane could have a safe place to ride out the storm. Rosen Hotels and Resorts, which has locations in the Orlando area, was offering distress rates of between $69 and $119 a night. The chain also waived pet fees for those who brought their dogs or cats with them. And here's a tried and true indicator of just how serious this storm is. Waffle House closed 21 locations along the Florida Gulf Coast from Bradenton to Naples. The chain has gained a reputation for staying open in all but the most dire circumstances, serving food to emergency crews and people during natural disasters. FEMA uses an unofficial Waffle House index to assess storm damage, saying if a location can serve a full menu, they'll likely got power or running on a generator. And having covered a few hurricanes in my day, I will tell you, once the Waffle House closes, it's time to really hunker down.
Yes, I remember I was covering one in North Carolina a few years ago. Yeah, I was covering one in North Carolina a few years ago, and the Waffle House closed. We all thought, okay, time to take this seriously. Yeah. And then it was also the first thing to reopen, by the way, after everything, got hit.
Yeah,
so,
and it is always amazing when they're serving those
they're
crews.
Amazing. They've really got it down.
Yeah. All right, Bertha, thank you so much. And coming up, continuing coverage of Ian, including a closer look at the path of destruction it left behind as it crawls across Florida.
We're going to bring you the sights and sounds of a major hurricane, now tropical storm, as it made landfall. That's next.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Tropical Storm Ian. What you're seeing right now is live pictures from a tower cam in Jacksonville, Florida. That's the east coast of the state, the opposite side of the state from where this first made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane, now downgraded to a tropical storm. But you can see as the storm moves both north and east, the wind shaking the camera, a very wet Jacksonville. Well, of course, keep you updated as the storm continues to move north. And of course, it's leaving behind extensive damage and flooding as it does so.
Here are some of the sights and sounds as Ian marched toward Florida's Gulf Coast.
think the biggest surprise with this storm was how intense it stayed from this morning right through landfall. I mean, it almost made it to a Category 5.
Wow. Oh, there goes a tree right in front of me.
We discussed what we've done to prepare for the hurricane. That includes dispatching hundreds of FEMA personnel and activating thousands of National Guard members.
We know that there are folks who are in the really high-risk Zone A evacuation zones who did not evacuate. There will be a response, but it's likely going to take a little time for this storm to move forwards.
I wanted to help the people who couldn't get out. I mean, you know, there's not very many people that can, you know, they're old people here. It's my home. It's the only thing I have. I mean, and my mother, you know, I mean, if that goes, then what do you do?
How hard is that, though, working in government, knowing that there's people trapped that you need to rescue, but also knowing that there's no way for you to get to them?
It is. We feel helpless, and we wish that we can be able to send our forces out there to assist, but we just can't. No, we just can't. It's just not safe to do so.
On the back end now, where the back eye wall is coming through. We've had some of the strongest winds here so far.
This is going to be a storm we talk about for many years to come. It's a historic event.
And as the sun rises in Florida this morning, we expect even more dramatic images today. We want to bring in Paul Womble. He is the Emergency Management Director for Polk County, Florida. Paul, thank you for taking time to join us. Polk County is between Orlando and Tampa, about a 2-hour drive northeast from where the storm made landfall. We spoke with a rep from the city of Lakeland in your county earlier this hour. What is it you're seeing this morning? What are you dealing with?
Hey, good morning. So we're waking up this morning to, while not a coastal county, we've got over at least 50% of our county or more without power. We've got tree lines down, power lines down. We know that we have people with water in their homes. The areas that we were really concerned about with significant flooding have some flooding. The rain, the really high amounts, over a foot of rain fell just to the south of those areas. But it's a bad day here. Our thoughts and prayers are with our friends in Southwest Florida, but we're responding to the needs and of everything here in our citizens in Polk County.
Paul, what have you heard from people who decided to ride out the storm, for people who are just starting to see the destruction this morning?
Yeah, we're starting to get our first look. It's just after sunrise here, and we're getting our crews out, our public safety, law enforcement, fire rescue. They were out all night last night, but we're starting to get some pictures in. We've got, again, water in homes, homes that have trees through their roof. We're aware of buildings that had windows blown out from the wind. So we're just starting to really get the good idea of how bad it is here in our county. Did you have many rescue calls overnight? Our fire rescue and our law enforcement partners responded to, life safety calls overnight, even, during the height of the storm here and the hurricane force winds. But we did not have any water type rescues overnight. So that's always a good thing.
Absolutely. Of course, Florida's no stranger to hurricanes, but how have past storms helped you prepare for a storm as strong as Ian? We've heard a lot of comparisons this morning to Hurricane Charlie, but what was this like and how did you get ready for it?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we have a lot of experience. Here in Polk County, we had not only Hurricane Charlie, but Francis and Jeanne in 2004. I believe we're still the only county in the country that have had 3 hurricane eye walls come through in a single season. So, we learn, we'll get better from the last one and we'll get better after this one. Charlie was a small, compact storm, basically a 10-mile wide tornado, moved through very quickly. Ian was very large. It was slow. We were watching it last night as it went over our county on the radar, and it just rained and rained and rained, and it wouldn't go away. So, we had hours and hours of strong winds, heavy rain, and so we're ready to get out and be able to respond to that today.
Paul, very quickly, what's your top priority, your top concern today?
Obviously, life safety, the safety of our citizens, the safety of our crews. We're assessing impacts to public safety infrastructure, which appears to be very minimal impacts, if at all. So then water, wastewater, and utilities. That's our priority today. And that's all about the health and safety of our citizens.
All right, Paul Wamble, thank you so much for thinking of your county, your crews, and everyone there today.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Stick with us.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.